Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today's first post is from the subreddit Marriage, and it's by user Alligator3332, and it says, "Gut feeling my 42 female husband 42 male is cheating with a parent in our kids' scout troop and I can't focus or think of anything else. My 42 female husband 42 male is gone for the weekend, chaperoning our kids on a scout outing, and I just can't focus right now. I have a gut feeling telling me that he is having an affair with another parent, 43 female, in the troop. 2 of our kids, 14 male and 12 female, are in. We've been married for 15 years, together for 17 years, and have 3 kids. In that time, I've never had any feeling that he wasn't faithful until this week, due to a comment from another parent at this month's parent meeting. I don't remember exactly how she said it, but the gist of it was that if she didn't know better, she'd think my husband and this other parent really were married. This isn't the first time those comments have been made, but it never bothered me when my husband told me about those comments in the past. But those comments were never said in front of me, and it triggered doubt that I just can't overcome and made me question my trust in my husband. We've known this other parent for years, since her oldest has been in scouts and other activities with our oldest since they moved to the area about 7 years ago. She is married, but I don't know how long they've been married. We never see her husband at awards nights, band concerts, or other events, and she's made some comments in the past that make me wonder about how healthy her marriage is. She is also a leader in the troop, and until they joined a mixed-gender troop pilot last year, they were pretty much the only active leaders who could take the scouts on campouts and other activities. For anyone who isn't familiar with scouting rules, a minimum of 2 deep adult leadership is required for any meetings or outings, and the other adult leadership in the troop often had conflicts that prevented them from going. So, if my husband and this other parent didn't go, there would be no outing for our kids. There were 2 years where they were also the only 2 adults taking 4 scouts to the week-long summer camps. He has also had her contact pinned on his phone because they text frequently. Those texts usually seem to be about scouting-related stuff. Our kids and I are also pinned and at the top of his list, so I don't think he's prioritizing her over me. There are more active leaders now that they did the mixed-gender pilot, but the other leaders are mostly women. My husband gets along with all of them pretty well, although they are the ones who make comments about them being married. I tried talking to my sister, 40 female and married, about this tonight, but she just fed into it. She wanted me to push for an open marriage like her so she could have a wingman. But we're completely different people and I don't want her lifestyle. Am I overreacting? Or is there something there that I'm not seeing? Kay, Opie, take a deep breath. I know that comment stung, but let's look at the facts. Your husband has you pinned at the top of his phone. He tells you about these comments himself. He's not hiding them. And honestly, 2 deep leadership is stressful. When you are the only 2 volunteers stepping up so the kids can have a summer camp, you bond over the work. That doesn't mean they are sleeping together. It means they are exhausted parents running a troop. And as for your sister, asking you to open your marriage so she can have a wingman? That is terrible advice. Do not listen to her. She is projecting her lifestyle onto your crisis. Opie slept on it and came back with an update, and then a second update addressing some creepy messages she received. First, thank you to everyone who has commented so far. I've had a night to sleep on this and think about it and some of the comments or questions I received. First, I do plan to talk to my husband about this. He texted me this morning and wants to do a movie date night for the 2 of us tomorrow night when he gets back. Movie nights usually end with us having intimacy. So I plan to talk to him about how that comment made me feel, and a few of you gave me some ways to approach the conversation that doesn't come across as defensive or accusatory. He's told me about those comments in the past, and it always seemed like a joke. I guess hearing it directly in a way that I didn't interpret as a joke sent my mind down this path. I'm just not comfortable being direct about it and asking if he's having an affair. Aside from the scout meetings, he's home every night, and our kids are with him at the meetings. Second, the parent I'm concerned about isn't on this weekend's outing. I'm Facebook friends with her, and she made some posts that confirm she isn't there. Third, my husband is not trying to keep me away from the troop. He's been encouraging me to get involved, as have some of the other leaders from the girls' troop they merged with for the pilot. Some of you are sick. DMing me and asking about my intimate life is fine. I'm a little uncomfortable talking about bedroom stuff, but you're getting way too graphic. I'm not here to get you your kicks. Well, there you go. The other woman isn't even on the trip. Opie, your gut was reacting to the gossip. not the reality. Go on that movie date, enjoy your time with your husband, and maybe join the troop so you can shut those rumors down yourself. And to the people in her DMs being creepy, seriously? Knock it off. Before we get to the update, there was one specific comment that really pushed OP to explain why she was so afraid to just ask her husband the truth. User AgileWait 7571 wrote, "If you can't talk to your husband after 3 kids and over a decade together, your marriage has serious issues." OP replied, "It's not that I can't talk to my husband. I don't think we've ever had communication problems in the past. But I don't want to ask him in a way that accuses him of cheating because it's just a gut feeling. I don't have any proof, and I could create the situation I'm trying to avoid." Following up on my last comment here where I said I wish I could be that direct. I was tired and anxious last night when writing this post in my reply. There is a lot more than just directly asking him if he's having an affair. I don't have any proof, just a gut feeling. My mom did something like that to my dad when I was 15. He wasn't cheating, but that accusation blew up their marriage and led to both of my parents cheating on each other. And I don't want to end up like my mom or sister, so that is why I can't be that direct. If I had real proof, it would be different. So, with that trauma in mind, OP posted her main update. My anxiety was in overdrive on Friday night when I posted that I had a gut feeling that my husband was having an affair. Thank you to everyone who left a comment or sent me a private message to talk. I'm especially thankful for the comments from anyone with a scouting background. I had already planned a vacation day for today since I have vacation I have to use up before the end of the year, so I wanted to provide some updates. I wanted to answer a few questions that have popped up on the other thread to add some context. A few people asked why I wasn't involved in scouting and if there were things going on in my personal life that made me feel this way. I was more involved in scouting when my oldest was a Cub Scout with my husband, but as my oldest crossed over into Boy Scouts, the time commitment increased. I also don't drive because I never got my license in high school, so my husband had to pick up the slack on that. He really wants me to be more involved since our troop is now a mixed gender troop and our daughter also joined. My job also gets in the way of a lot of things. I teach a 4K program in a private childcare center. That's normally a lot of work, and it's year-round. My summer is busier because public schools are out and we have more kids. But this year has been harder than normal. We have a new curriculum, a new assessment we have to do on every kid, and the kids are harder because they're either not prepared for my room or they have behavior challenges. I'm up until well after midnight most nights working on lesson plans or preparing for the next day's activities. Although he tells me I shouldn't work so hard if I'm not getting paid for it, my husband is mostly supportive of my job and will run errands for me and bring me coffee or lunch when I need it. Our local library will ask him questions about the books I put on hold for my classroom because he usually picks them up. Some of you DM'd me to ask about intimacy. I feel like my needs are being fulfilled. I wasn't sure if his needs are since his drive has gone up over the last few years. He had some health issues and was put on high blood pressure medication about 5 years ago, and he worked hard to get off of them within a year. He lost weight and works out more. After reading through a few other posts on here, I know this will come up. He does not go to a gym. He works out on our treadmill and with some dumbbells in our basement. But he has never complained to me about intimacy. He knows about some things in my past and doesn't push. I'm sure he wants it more. But I'm not spontaneous, and it's hard to find time when you have 3 kids and a job that takes all your time. That said, I am quite pleased with our intimate life. My husband was on a weekend scout outing with 2 of our oldest kids when I made that post, and he didn't get back until later yesterday afternoon. I had a chance to talk to him and the troop's scoutmaster yesterday. The scoutmaster called me yesterday afternoon because she had a question about the shirt sizes my kids needed for the new activity shirt they're ordering, and my husband was out of cell service at that time. During that conversation, I mentioned that the married couple comment that was made at the last parent meeting made me uncomfortable. She understood and says she has been trying to stop that. I asked her some questions about my husband and this other parent, and she said that they're more like brother and sister than a married couple. She says they joke around, but she hasn't seen anything that looks like flirting between them. They will sit next to each other at meals when the adults eat together, but she doesn't see anything that makes her think anything is going on. I talked with my husband last night. I approached the conversation by raising my concern about the married couple comments. He understood and said that he didn't like them either. He knows that I can have some anxiety issues. I asked if I could look through his phone. He allowed me to. I looked at their text history, and I didn't see anything that would concern me. Their texts were all about scouting, a few book recommendations, a text or two about crowd-funded backpacking or hiking gear, and a text thread about some advice for a car issue she was having last year when her husband wasn't around. He also let me look through his other apps. His job involved stuff with computers before he got laid off, so he had a few apps like Slack and WhatsApp. He showed me WhatsApp, and the only messages were with people that are his former coworkers. He also had Signal, which was locked with Face ID. He opened it without hesitation, and the only two conversations were with former coworkers who did something with computer security. My husband also showed me his iPad and Kindle. I didn't see anything on his iPad that concerned me. When I looked at his Kindle, I learned that he liked reading what he called cozy romance novels or Hallmark movies in book form. Our date nights usually involve a Hallmark movie or two, and he told me that he had to research books before borrowing them from the library or buying them on Amazon because he's been surprised by how graphic some of the books get when the summary sounds extremely innocent. After that, I asked him a question that I probably shouldn't have. But the DMs I received and another Reddit post here made me curious. I asked him if he pleasured himself. He said he did, and he does it in the shower. My husband takes long showers, so that filled in that gap. Then I asked him who he thought about when he did that. He said he mostly thought about me. Sometimes he thought about two musicians or actresses. It feels weird to actually post their names in a thread, so I won't say their names, but one was a late 90s pop star who is now an actress and voiced a Disney princess, and the other is a violinist. After a few moments of silence, he also admitted that he had a fantasy about that other parent and had thought of her in the shower. I wasn't thinking when I asked my next question. It just kind of came out. I asked if he was attracted to her. There were a few more moments of awkward silence before he said he was, but he also said he recognized that attraction and set some hard boundaries for himself. He says he has kept his texts to scouting-related or adjacent topics and books except for the one where he gave her car advice. That was just a text. And he never went over there to help her because he was with me that entire day. He doesn't get into situations where he is alone with her and just treats her like a friend. The only time he has been to her house is when he was picking her son up for scouting events, and he sat in the car in the driveway while our kids went to the door. He does not meet with her outside of scouting, and when we see them at school, band concerts, or other school events, we rarely talk with her. He also said that he is more attracted to me than anyone else, and that he has made a conscious choice to not act on any feelings besides the feelings he has for me. Since I had asked him about other people, he also asked me if I had been attracted to anyone. I admitted that I think I am attracted to the parent of one of the kids I teach. He knows that I only speak to these parents for like 5 minutes a day in the chaos of drop-off and pickup, and that I don't connect with parents on social media until after their kids are out of my class. He didn't try to make me feel bad about it, and he said he only asked because I had asked that question of him. So, that is where we are at. I think I'm feeling insecure about myself because this other parent looks like I used to before I had kids. She's skinny. She runs marathons and backpacks and shares some interests with my husband. But he's enthusiastic about spending time with me and meeting all of my needs. And he's home every night with me and has always had location sharing turned on for me so I can always see his location. Update. I should clarify something here. When I asked the Scoutmaster about my husband and this other parent, it was about how those married couple comments got started. She filled in the details about how they interact. But I never told the Scoutmaster that I suspected him of cheating. Just that the comments that a third parent made were making me uncomfortable. I told my husband that I had that conversation about those comments with the Scoutmaster. Update 2. I know the not driving thing is hard, and it's not fair to my family. Can we please move on from that? The community had mixed reactions to this honest conversation. User Rice Correct said, "Gonna be honest. It doesn't sound like he's cheating. It sounds like you both are honest with each other and have decent communication. An unfortunate byproduct of honesty to direct questions and good communication is that sometimes you might hear an answer that makes you feel a certain way. That's what happened here. We're married, not blind. We see other attractive people. It's gonna happen. I know my husband finds some celebrities attractive because I've asked. This is fine. He's probably never going to encounter them, and even if he did, I trust him. He's not a cheater. I wouldn't want to know, however, if he found one of our mutual acquaintances attractive. I'm not stupid. Some of them are. But I don't want to hear him say it, so I don't ask. And I don't worry about it because, again, I trust him. I think you need to learn to let all of this go. Go ahead and get involved in the scouting if you wish. Trust in the life you've built with your husband. He will find other people attractive now and then, as will you. But hot people don't hold a candle to the one you've built a happy home and life with. But user Little Cats 3 saw problems. The only two things I would have a problem with are him pleasuring himself to thoughts of her that isn't holding a hard boundary and is reinforcing sexual thoughts and fantasies about her, and what the other Scoutmaster said about how they are always together. Creating healthy boundaries isn't always sitting next to her for meals when there are other adults around, or having a close relationship where others would even joke about being a married couple. Both of those two things together is the problem. If he wasn't attracted to her, and didn't pleasure himself to thoughts of her, then I wouldn't have a problem with what the other Scoutmaster said. He needs to create greater distance between them. When he asked if you find anyone attractive and you admitted to being attracted to a parent of one of your students isn't a fair comparison, he needs to imagine it's a work colleague that you were with and only ate lunch with and still texted, even if innocently, one you fantasized about sexually and pleasured yourself to. No, I don't think he's cheating, but this is a gray area that he needs to be careful with. There is a book called Not Just Friends by Shirley Glass that talks about emotional infidelity that you both should read. He's still creating a closeness with her and then reinforcing those feelings, thinking of her sexually. Our brains are powerful and can create intimacy with what we reinforce sexually. Opie responded, "As I said in the last post, the current troop is one formed when Scouting America started a mixed gender pilot last year. My husband and the other parent were two of the most active leaders in the boys' troop, and they were often the only two available to take the boys on campouts. So they worked very closely together for almost 2 years. And according to my husband, the married couple comment started because of how well they worked together. What started this whole thing was when a different parent made a comment about it in front of me. My husband had told me about those comments in the past, but hearing it directly was different." Little Cats 3 replied, "Having someone randomly say your husband and a close friend are like a married couple is odd, and would have tripped my thoughts in the same way they tripped yours. I did read your first post, but this one really had the pertinent information in my opinion. So I do know that they've been close because of forced proximity being the two most involved Scoutmasters. This other Scoutmaster versus the parent would have to actually be there to form this opinion about them, so they obviously aren't always alone together. My opinion is finding others attractive is normal, but we rarely need to create hard boundaries with someone we just find attractive. He felt the need to create those boundaries, and I wish he had also talked to you about the boundaries and what was going on. He has taken this a step further, and is also fantasizing about her sexually and pleasuring himself to thoughts of her, which in my opinion is not a hard boundary. I don't think he needs to stop being a Scoutmaster or stop being friendly with this woman, but he should stop eating sitting next to her, and he shouldn't ever pleasure himself to thoughts of her again. Most importantly, he needs to start talking to you about these things." User Suburban Mom added, "In my opinion, I think the only yellow flag is that y'all rarely interact with her at school events. In other words, when you are present. If they are good friends, there should be no reason to avoid each other. Not saying your husband is guilty, but there might be some feelings on her part towards your husband that she avoids you. In other words, your husband sounds trustworthy. She does not. Tell your husband you trust him, but not her. He can be more careful when he interacts with her." Opie replied, "She also seems distant at troop awards nights and parent meetings when I'm present too. She'll sit on the opposite side of the room." User Crazy Lady 1260 warned, "That's a huge red flag from both of them. Yikes. He needs to separate from her at the troop things in respect for you. That's emotional cheating, especially if he's pleasuring himself to her." Opie admitted, "I hadn't really thought about her distance at other events until I heard this comment about them being like a married couple." Opie digested all of this, and she came back with one final emotional update. "I think this will be my last update on this post for a while. I really need to take a Reddit break. Some of your comments on my last update hit me very hard. The numbness and shock of my husband's admission of having fantasies about another woman, a parent and co-leader in our kids' scout troop, are starting to wear off. Now I'm just angry. I'm angry at my husband. On one hand, I wish he hadn't admitted to having a fantasy involving that woman. I believe him when he says he didn't act on his attraction because he didn't do anything physical with her. And I believe that he tried to limit contact and the situations where they were together, but it wasn't enough. I don't envy the situation he was in when he was the only other adult to take the troop on outings. If he had pulled back, the scouts would have suffered at the time because they were the only two leaders. Even if it was just a situation in his head that he played out in our shower by himself, it feels like cheating to me. It doesn't matter if he thought about her 1 time or 100 times, or what the fantasy was, he still cheated on me. I don't care that it wasn't a physical relationship. He was the one person that I felt safe enough to be intimate with, and he put a ton of cracks into the trust. I'm mad because some of you made me feel like it's my fault this happened, or that I'm broken and undeserving of my husband. There is a voice in the back of my head that says, I should just crack my marriage open just a little bit and give permission for him to have an affair just with this woman, but only if they are discreet. Apparently, I can't meet his needs because he pleasures himself in the shower. I'm pissed that the thought is even there, taunting me in my sister's voice. But most of all, I'm mad at myself. Mad for not seeing the signs that stronger boundaries were needed, or for getting involved sooner. I'm mad that my anxiety has pushed me into repeating the mistakes that my parents made. I'm mad that, in my vulnerability, I almost started my own emotional affair. Someone DM'd me after my first post and opened up about their affair. Not only did I overshare with that person, who made me feel like I was safe, they asked questions that planted seeds about having my own affair. They asked about the parent I was attracted to and if I would consider an affair with them, or if I fantasized about them. There are some things that happened to me around my parents' divorce that make intimacy very hard, including self-pleasure. But I found myself fantasizing about that parent after my husband's admission and trying some things that I have never tried before. I even crossed my own boundary about connecting with that parent on Facebook when I have their kid in my class. I'm mad about my vulnerability and that I may have started to make the same mistakes as my husband. I told my husband that I need space and time to process all of this. I told him he needs to step back from scouting for now. He can remain a registered leader so he doesn't have to do another background check later, but he has to take a break and let others pick up the load. And you all made it clear that I need a therapist, so I'm starting my search for one, and a marriage counselor and a copy of that Shirley Glass book. The community was baffled by OP's sudden spiral. User Jakawi commented, I'm confused. You had a good, open conversation with your husband about the situation. Out came some brutal honesty, but also open honesty, as requested. In return, you decided to plant the first seeds of an affair? What? Your actions make no sense? To be insecure about his confession is normal and I totally understand, but then your actions towards your crush? WTF lady, get a hold of yourself? Why are you trying to implode your life? Marriage? User Admirable Guest 2560 said simply, this is what she wants. User Matt from work agreed. Self-sabotage. And User B's Hacks offered some perspective. I don't understand the belief that your spouse fantasizing about someone else is cheating. As a woman, this just seems like normal behavior for anyone. The expectations may be too high. OP, I responded positively to your last post and replied back thanking me. I think you have taken a wrong turn here. This is one of those things where you can get way off the rails, ruin a lovely marriage and family, and then late in life, look back and realize how minimal it was. Zoom out. If he died tomorrow, what do you think your perspective would be on this? Wow, this is a tough one. Opie went from a gut feeling to almost starting her own emotional affair just because her husband was honest about a thought in the shower. It really shows how past trauma, like what happened with her parents, can make us self-sabotage our own happiness. Let's hope she reads that book and finds a good therapist before she burns it all down. That's it for this story. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to hear more, be sure to check out the other stories on the channel right now. And please don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. See you soon.